What's up, everyone? I'm the Kaiju no Kami here at Colorado Anime Fest 2023 with
Cruellica Kain.
And we are interviewing
Nathanael Platier.
For those who might not know who you are and what do you do?
I am a VTuber that specializes in mental health awareness with doing meditation streams every other week and focusing on giving a more positive outlook on community games like Overwatch and other team building games like that.
I love that. So, would you mind telling us a little bit about your journey as a VTuber? I will say, as someone who is over 40, I really didn't know a lot about VTubing until, admittedly, when you were announced. It was a great opportunity to learn a new format and experience something that was completely foreign to me. Mm-hmm. So for anyone who is either older or maybe just in general doesn't know a lot about it, would you like sharing a little bit of your journey of what you've done?
Sure. So VTubing for me has been a way to figure out what I wanted to become. Mm-hmm. Because with that, you don't have to worry about what you look like, the way that your hair is like, or anything like that. You can just embody what you envisioned that you wanted yourself to be and the impact that you want to have with that. There's no barriers for that. You have unlimited potential energy to change things. And I think having an environment that is a safe space away from reality, in moderation, of course.
Sure.
But having a place where people can escape to and know that it's an inclusive world, that you can be anything, is really important. And I think it's pretty cool.
I find it fascinating because I expected something very similar to what you see on YouTube, where you have a lot of people who are very dictated, like you said, in a way like appearances or expectations. And it was very interesting to see the VTubing because you do have an avatar, and your avatar is adorable.
Thank you.
And you probably didn't mean for it to be adorable, but I think everything's adorable.
I think being able to call something cute and not flinch at it is important too. So it's adorable. I love it.
Absolutely. So I find it so fascinating. So what do you enjoy most about VTubing?
I think for me, and it may sound silly, but I've always wanted to be a superhero in a weird way. But to me, being able to change people's life on a small scale means more than being able to punch a building down or anything like that. But being able to do one nice thing for someone a day and that carry a ripple effect is such more cool superpower, in my opinion, because you're changing events and you're able to make people's day better. And I think that's what got me into it, honestly.
I love that. And that, I think, fits in with what you do as a teacher.
Yeah, I'm a 6th grade teacher, but all that you need to inspire students. Same with the mental health aspect, yes. Because even 6th graders, their mental health is all over the place.
Yeah, of course, and a learning environment where you have that many expectations as well. So yeah.
What do you do to help for mental health awareness?
For me, I think being able to shine light on what is there, not having the taboo of talking about it, gives people more confidence to speak out when they need help, or to get the tools that they need for themselves to compensate for it or to adapt to it. For me personally, having ADHD and figuring that out and being able to be like a collective help group of, hey, this worked for me, it might not work for you, but check it out. For me, that was meditation, and I started doing that every other Monday for a time being, and being able to, even having ADHD and having racing thoughts and having a different way to interpret it, being able to give different variations of those tools can be very important to people that have never heard of them or have them as like a mystified, like, that's what Yoda does type of thing, but having it from a scientific version of this proven works, neurologically this works, try it out, see if it works for you. Like, I think that can be really cool.
I think one thing I'm most impressed with is that you have this very calming effect. And with ADHD, just because I've worked professionally with so many people who have had it, how do you, and not to get into a conversation about that, so please forgive me if you feel uncomfortable, how do you, alongside meditation, help cope with that to stay so calm?
Having an accountability partner really helps. It's helped me to have a fun way of doing it, to have a way that I can still give myself checkpoints of things that I have done and reward myself for doing that. Having someone that can be like, hey, you still working on that? This is what I did during that time period. What did you do? And like it be more of a gamified version of it, worked for my brain. Still have pitfalls every once in a while like we always do, but having friends that can help you get back on track faster without getting stuck in your own rut can be very, very useful, and it's helped me tremendously having accountability partners.
Absolutely. Now I work in human resources professionally, so we actually just did a big study on accountability partnerships and learning that. But I like how you merged, you mentioned alongside that with like a gamification, because that's a huge study that's opening up so much with mental health, with physical health, with everything. And I'm so happy that you said that, just because a lot of people think that mental health is a struggle you have to do alone because it's so stigmatized. And it's so nice to have someone on a platform who can share that. So thank you very much for that.
Another thing that really changed a lot for me, especially with learning all this stuff, is I have something called aphantasia, where I can't picture things mentally, but that made me go, well, other people still make it work despite that. There's other ways to make your brain work more efficiently despite not being able to do the same things. And it's really cool to be able to explore how we can help ourselves and help each other just by finding more creative ways to get around it.
Absolutely. I don't want to take all your time.
Well, actually, one thing about gamification also helps people with certain things they're not comfortable with. Like, we have a friend who she hated answering the phone, but when she played the Yakuza game series, they answer the phone in such a weird way where he's like, yeah, hello? She's like, that's what I do from now on when I have to answer the phone.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it, honestly.
Now, you said you're big on superheroes. And as we were talking before the interview, was Tokusatsu.
Yes.
Have you jumped into that realm completely, or are you just like getting your feet wet?
I've always liked Power Rangers and Sentai and any kind of hero thing where it's a strong symbol of justice type of thing, where just the idea of them can inspire other people to do the same thing and to make those kinds of changes, even though they don't have like Thor level abilities or anything. They're just a guy in a Sentai suit with a really big toy figurine that's obviously meant for selling things. But on the street level, it is street level. They're helping the individual person, which is what was the big draw for me. So, and it's just cool.
Yeah, I've used that a lot of times. I'm like, okay, guys, like even when we do certain things occur in the real world, I'm like, so what would the Rangers of Sentai do?
Oh my gosh!
And just to help, like, put some positivity.
I memorized most of the morph sequences back in the day. I'm still mad because my homeroom teacher stole one of my morphers, and I never got it back at the end of the year. And I'm still salty about that.
You should find that teacher, like, put on a Jason mask.
It was my Ninja Storm morpher, and I'm still mad about that.
Which one did you start with?
For Rangers specifically, it was Turbo.
Okay.
And then went back and forth from there, but I saw that the Blue Ranger was it Turbo or Neo? It was a younger kid, I think like in his 12
Justin.
13.
Yeah, that was Turbo.
And was like, well, he's just a kid like me. Like, I could do that. Obviously couldn't, because I couldn't do a backflip or anything. But it was the idea that was cool, and that's what stuck with me.
That was actually taken from the one series, which is my personal favorite Sentai series, Die Ranger. Where the character that was Tommy when he became the White Ranger, in Die Ranger, it was actually a kid that transformed into the White Ranger.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because years later, it was like, oh, so they took that from that. Now for me, it was like, for Justin, it was like, well, they made him too much trying to be like a older kid, whereas in Die Ranger, it works because he's still being a kid, and he's misusing his abilities and everything.
Yeah. It's great. I've seen some of the comparisons between the Power Ranger and the Sentai versions, and it can be very different. It's great.
Oh yeah, it's an interesting franchise. And yesterday I was doing a Kamen Rider panel. And I talked about, like, yeah, some people might look at rubber-suited monsters, people in these rubber suits as goofy, but then think about there's people in those suits trying to not be blown up by all the effects explosions going around.
My one thing that I've always said, which they'll probably never do, but I wish they would, is a animated series instead, where all the effects would make sense, like the fighting game that they had, Battlefield Grid.
Yeah.
Where, going on a hyperfixation, I apologize, but it'd be so cool to have it like Voltron styled, of being able to have that animation style with those kind of qualities would be cool.
Well, Hasbro is apparently working on an animated Power Ranger series for Netflix. So that
I love your excitement.
so that could be interesting.
That would be really cool.
And then the current series that just premiered in Japan, King Ojer, they've got the new series is shot in an LED room, so all the backgrounds are visually stunning. It's in like a medieval type setting. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the course of the year.
Yeah, it'll be so cool. I'll be really excited about that. That changed everything for me.
Now, one superhero show for Sentai in Japan that hasn't come to America that I think that would be great if you ever get a chance to watch it, because it does a lot of conversations about mental health and things like that. And it was actually one of the most recent series that just aired, called Dawn Brothers.
Okay.
And you see all of the emotional trajectory, wow, I can't speak, of all of these characters that are going through highs and lows.
Yeah.
And there's so much development for the characters, for the stories, and you actually feel a connection when you see the downs they go through, you see the ups. I would definitely, if you ever get a chance, take a look at that.
Yeah, I think I've actually seen it where he's rage-filled and actually just goes straight after one of
the Pink Ranger?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, it was actually made me like clench up, and I was like, oh.
Yes, because when someone harmed his wife, he was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a human reaction to go through, and like, it's definitely needed in the series, honestly.
Yeah, it was an interesting change of pace to see them tackle this aspect, because sometimes there was another Sentai series when they dealt with mental health, they made a mockery out of it. And that's, I think, the worst aspect, is when you're seeing mental health just played off as a joke.
Yeah, no, completely.
Do you have any social media links that people can find you at?
Sure, on Twitter or on Twitch, it's just Nate the Moth. I stream whenever I can, peppered in throughout helping everyone else on Twitch. But every other Tuesday, or every other Monday, I'll be doing mental health meditation Mondays. So that's going to be something I'm looking forward to.
And as a teacher, do you have any final words of wisdom for our viewers?
I think it's very important to love each other, yes, but also love yourself. It can be very hard sometimes, but there is always someone that loves you, and you can make a spark that changes many people's lives. So keep shining bright, even if it's getting really dark outside.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Until next time, bye.